No music this week, but it is time for the Tru Heel Heat Takeover on the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3, back once again with my esteemed colleagues from the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. First up, we got the ace and the face of the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, my right hand man, the president of the Bengals Nation. Yes, president even over the birthday boy, Rick Ucchino. He is Romeo Anthony Colon.
That's why I was rocking this in honor of the birthday boy, Rick Ucchino. Happy birthday, Rick. Enjoying his day off. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Can't clap too loud. But yes. Happy birthday to Rick Ucchino. And also, since Rick is not here, we had to fill in his shoes with two esteemed colleagues of mine. We have the true draw of the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, my main man, Josh Marrero.
How's it going?
Doing? How are you doing? You're the unofficial member of the Blackpool
I'm
Combat
doing well.
Club.
No, I'm good. I'm doing good.
Great to hear. Of course, if you're watching us on the YouTube channel, drop a thumbs up on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe if you are new to the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast YouTube channel. We are seeing huge numbers over the last couple of weeks, and we are here for the Tru Heel Heat second takeover, reviewing last night's AEW Dynamite from New Orleans, Louisiana. What a hot crowd it was, fellas. And for AEW Dynamite, any quick thoughts, early impressions from last night's Dynamite, Romeo?
Definitely a hot crowd. I want to say that Dynamite definitely delivered more on the in-ring aspect of a wrestling show, and some parts in the storytelling fell a little flat for me.
We will get into that for sure. What about you, Josh? Any quick thoughts?
Great show till the flat ending.
Yes, we're going to get into that with our lead story. But before we get into anything, we got to shout out our special sponsors, betonline.com. Thank you so much for supporting the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. Josh and Romeo, it is, NBA playoff season, so it's a great time. Our partners at Bet Online continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find out all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA playoffs, fights, and even next season's futures. And don't forget that the MLB is back as well. Who are you picking to win the World Series? I think all of us are in agreement. The New York Yankees are going to be there, but BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started. So head to the website today and use your mobile device to join and use our promo code Bleav. That is BLEAV to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. And where we're going to start on this episode of the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast is talking about last night's AEW Dynamite, how they ended the show. And that brings us to our lead story, which saw a hard-hitting, physically intense battle between Samoa Joe and Minoru Suzuki for the ROH Television Championship, with Samoa Joe pulling out the win to become the new ROH World Television Champion. Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal were sitting in the front row at ringside. After the match, they gave a gif of flipping off Samoa Joe, and then the lights went out. And whenever the lights go out, we think we're going to see a big, major debut. And when the lights came back on, it was Satnam Singh. 7 foot tall, over 7 feet tall, former basketball player from India. He was a rumor. He was a signing for AEW late last year in 2021. A lot of people talking about him training with Sanjay Dutt, and he joined this group with Sanjay Dutt and Jay Lethal to attack Samoa Joe to end the show, giving him the crush of the skull, leading into Jay Lethal hitting the lethal injection to lay out the new ROH TV champion. But it was definitely a flat finish. No one really knew who Singh was, and the crowd really didn't know how to respond to all of this. I will go to you first, Josh. What was your impression of first the matchup between Joe and Suzuki, and then this aftermath, the post-match beatdown with Satnam Singh making his debut?
The match itself was great. It was everything I expected. Hard hitting. Both guys brought it tonight. I was a little surprised he took the title off of Suzuki already, but it is what it is. That ending though, I didn't like it. It felt super unnecessary to me. Like even like it was flat, but it just felt like it was not necessary at all. Like I would have been fine with Jay Lethal flipping him off, and then ending the show with Joe standing tall, winning the title. Like instead he got beat down, and it meant nothing.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt. It felt like they put like a huge bucket of water on Samoa Joe's big victory at the end here after what you, like you said, a hard hitting clash with him and Minoru Suzuki. What about you, Romeo? What was your thoughts on the main event and then the post match?
The match was fun. You could tell both of those guys were like, they love this. Like, this is what they live for. Just chop each other to death. I like Joe winning. I did think Joe was going to win fair and square, and they kept it fair and square. You should have just ended it with, two Hall of Fame in-ring legends, shaking hands and showing respect. And the crowd would have went crazy. They would have got their flowers. And then that happened. If you're going to do the lights off thing, like it's got to be someone that delivers, that the crowd at least knows. It's got to be something that gets a reaction. There were crickets out there. You could see tumbleweed flying through the ring all over. It was very, very, very flat. If you're going to do this, you should have saved it for some other show, not the end of this show, which was a good in-ring show. And you got people talking about that. It leaves a negative taste in the mouth after that. I'm glad you mentioned he's a former basketball player, not a former NBA player, because some people think he's an NBA player. He didn't play in the NBA. He played in the G League. And I looked up his stats. They were in, I think Grayson Waller is a better basketball player than this guy.
You want to read off those stats for the people watching or listen to us at home?
Listen, now I'm not trying to bury the guy. This is just for fun. This is just for jokes and giggles. But he played 2 seasons in the G League. Once, like he's averaging 1 point a game. One season he played 8 games. He didn't register a single block. You're 7'2". You can't get a block.
At least like did he average like 0.7 blocks or something?
No, 0.0. He didn't get a single block in 7-8 games, something like that. You see why the NBA career didn't work out. I wish him all the best in wrestling. Like I'm not rooting against him. They gave him the generic big man finisher of just crushing the head. Very Great Khali-esque. And Great Khali's not a guy you want to be compared to right from the start, But hey, I wish him the best of luck. I just think they should have put him in a better spot here.
Yeah, this was not the way to end a show, which I thought was a really good show up until that point. There was stuff I can nitpick about the show, but nothing was a glaring thumbs down for me as far as like any segment on this show except for this. This was a flat finish. I agree with Romeo. I did see Samoa Joe winning here because one thing that I've grown accustomed to is that Minoru Suzuki, he's here for a good time, not a long time, and he's not here to win in AEW. I think this is now his 4th match in AEW, and he's 0-4 in AEW. He's lost to Moxley and Kingston, Bryan Danielson, and now Samoa Joe. He just doesn't win in AEW. We should just be thankful that he got to do his whole entrance and we got to sing Kazani Nare. So that's
I
the
much
good part.
rather prefer Tony Khan giving us Suzuki versus Joe instead of, no offense to Red Titus, instead of Red Titus versus Joe for that, you know?
This is true. This is true. If this was the whole point of him winning the ROH TV title at ROH Supercard of Honor was for him to be the transitional champion to Samoa Joe, then that's all fine and dandy. And it makes sense Joe winning the TV title since he's feuding with Jay Lethal, who's the longest reigning ROH TV champion in history. But totally agree with you guys. It was just a flat finish, the wrong spot for this guy to debut at the end of a show that had CM Punk on it. You had the Blackpool Combat Club with a backstage promo. There wasn't a lot of women on this show, and that was one of my other big nitpicks of this show. Is just a total lack of women's matches. The only women's match on the show went about 3 minutes, and then Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa only got like 2 minutes of hype for their Battle of the Belts main event on Saturday, which we will talk about the Battles of the Belt special on this edition of the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. But that wasn't the only title match. Not just the main event had a title on the line. We also saw earlier in the show Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus defeat ReDRagon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish to retain the AEW World Tag Team titles. Romeo, what did you think about this matchup here and the result with Jurassic Express getting the victory to retain the gold?
I am not surprised by the result. I know some people thought maybe you could do a title switch here, maybe. The match was fun, as you would expect. The only problem that I have here is that, to me, and I'm going to get away from this match a little bit, but there was a better tag team match on the show. Like, those guys, Swerve, Lee, Hobbs, and Ricky, they killed it. Like, the tag team title match should be the best match on the show, but here they got outshadowed by a match later on in the show, which is kind of weird booking, but still a very enjoyable match for me.
I think that had the it got elevated by the crowd being so invested into Ricky Starks, which we're going to talk about on the 5 count. But Josh, I wanted to ask you, were you surprised by ReDRagon taking the loss here? Because it kind of would have made sense. They're not in the top 5 ranking. This is only their second 2-on-2 tag team match in AEW. If you wanted to kind of push them right to the forefront, it kind of would have made sense for ReDRagon to get the win here. But they are really establishing Jurassic Express AEW World Tag Team title reign with another big victory here. What did you think, Josh?
I thought it was another good match. I actually agree with Romeo. I thought the other tag team match was better. I mean, it wasn't a bad match. I was fine with the win. Yeah, overall it was solid.
Yeah, I just was surprised. I thought they were gonna do more with ReDRagon here. The post match we saw Kyle O'Reilly hit Jurassic Express with a steel chair, so we still have some heat between these two teams. But the more interesting part of the post match was the ROH and AAA World Tag Team Champions FTR coming down, having a little stare down with ReDRagon. They got a look from Jurassic Express as well, which brings us nicely into the 5 count, and our first count on the 5 count is about FTR. After last week me and Rick have talked about it on multiple different shows, FTR took the claim for the best tag team in the world after a 5-star classic at Supercard of Honor with the Briscoes, and then another 5-star classic last week against the Young Bucks. They came out this week after Jurassic Express pulled out the victory over ReDRagon. And my question for you guys, I'll start with Josh here. Should FTR become Triple Crown Tag Team Champions by being the ones to dethrone Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus?
Absolutely. I think right now they're the hottest tag team in the company. They have those 2 titles with them, so I wouldn't mind seeing them win. I think like I said, they're the hottest team, so I'll go with that.
Romeo, I know this is an easy question for you, but what do you think? Do you think FTR should become the Triple Crown Tag Team Champions? And when, if you do agree that they should, when should they become the Triple Crown Tag Team Champions by
Give
beating Jurassic Express?
give them all the gold. Make them the tag team belt collectors. And when you say FTR, I know it's 5 stars technically, but 6-star FTR is the phrase we're using now. SB3, if you don't mind, they are 6-star FTR. They're the best tag team in the world. Jurassic Express title run has been okay. I know they gave them some wins, trying to establish them. I was rooting against them the whole time. Like, there's other teams I want to see better in the spotlight more than Jurassic Express. One including ReDRagon, who keeps losing to them, and the other being FTR, the greatest tag team in the world. So, when should that happen? Got a pay-per-view coming up, Double or Nothing. That'd be the spot to do it, to crown them 3-time champs, 6 titles.
Yes, they're 6-star FTR because they've won the Raw, NXT, SmackDown, AAA, ROH, and AEW tag team titles. The only team in the business today to get all those titles in their possession. And I'm gonna have to agree with you guys. I think that FTR is the hottest team in the company right now. And just to see them as the Triple Crown Tag Team Champions, I think that would be like the big stamp of approval for them. I don't know how long their deal is with AEW, but the fact that AEW is devoting so much to them, you would think that FTR, if they were thinking about letting their contract expire and not re-signing, they're rethinking that right now, because they're like, man, y'all are just giving us all the gold, all the big matches. Like, let's just re-sign. Let's put our name on the dotted line and let's get it done. So yeah, this FTR push has been a lot of fun, and I think them versus Jurassic Express can probably be Jurassic Express' best match for the tag team titles. I thought the matchup with ReDRagon was great. I was just very surprised. Like I said, I thought that ReDRagon was like kind of the team to beat them because they've been losing so much and they needed a big win here. But I understand that they're trying to establish Jurassic Express with a title reign. More importantly, trying to establish Jungle Boy, and he's going to be versing Kyle O'Reilly next week on AEW Dynamite in an Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament qualifier. So
That'll
that
be
should
fun.
be, yeah, that should be a great matchup as well. And I mean, I would love to say Kyle O'Reilly's going to win there, but I mean, the way things are going, ReDRagon ain't winning these big matches.
Putting my money on that. I'm gonna agree with you that Kyle wins that, maybe by cheating. Who knows?
I can see that. What about you? Do you think bonus count question here, Josh? Do you think who wins next week, Jungle Boy or Kyle O'Reilly?
I think O'Reilly wins. But I don't think it's going to be clean. So
Yeah, he's definitely going to get a lot of help to get that done. And someone else who gets a lot of help to get the job done is Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF. And he had a matchup this week against Captain Sean Dean. Sean Dean, that gave MJF his first loss of 2022 by disqualification on the in January. So he had his rematch here. Sean Dean, who got the victory over Sean Spears last week, and MJF looked like he was having a dominant win until once again we see the security in the backstage. They're beaten out. They're taken down. One security member has his shirt taken off. Then Maxwell is on the floor, beating down Sean Dean. He poses by the guardrail, and then a security guard pulls up, takes off the mask, and it is none other than Wardlow. Wardlow takes out multiple security guards, including power bombing one security guard on the apron. That looked vicious. He no-sold a steel chair shot from Sean Spears, and then was about to power bomb him before more security came down, escorted him out. MJF tried to get back into the ring, but he was blocked by the mirage of security holding back Wardlow. He even tried to triple the pay that Bryce Rensburg was getting from Tony Khan to stop him from counting to 10, but he was instead counted out by Bryce Rensburg. So Sean Dean is now 2-0 against MJF and 3-0 against the Pinnacle in 2022. And Wardlow says that he sent a warning to Maxwell that he either releases him from his contract or the worst is coming to him. And then later on in the night, MJF paid off Jose, the assistant, to get the services of the Butcher. So it's going to be Wardlow versus the Butcher next week on Dynamite. So in our second count here, I'll start with you, Josh. Is MJF versus Wardlow the best feud right now in AEW?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say yes, because I think this is the only match so far that's kind of building up to Double or Nothing. Not only that, but the crowd is obviously behind Wardlow, and I also like the fact that they keep putting up the signs on the ringside, looking out for Wardlow, and then he keeps every single time he always gets through. That's like the worst security ever, because he's always getting through. So it's like, what's the point? What's the point? But yeah, I think it's easily the best storyline, just because this is so far like at least the guaranteed match you probably see at Double or Nothing so far.
And this is a hell of a streak for MJF because, before the CM Punk feud, which many people called one of the best feuds in AEW history, he had a tremendous feud with Darby Allin heading into to Full Gear. Before that, it was the long feud with Chris Jericho, which had a lot of good stuff involved in it. So he's on a hot streak when it comes to feuds. But I'll ask you, Romeo, is this the best feud in AEW right now, MJF versus Wardlow?
It is by default, because there's some out there that's really reaching its worst point. They need to do something here though, because I'm getting to the point where Wardlow needs to get his hands on MJF already. They're stretching out maybe a bit too long here. MJF was great tonight. Like, that was really funny stuff. The trying to bribe the ref. And then also the facial reactions while he was in front of Wardlow, who was disguised as a security guard. By the way, I think it's like more and more security guards every week. That's also funny and a nice touch.
Yes.
There were like 35 of them trying to hold back Wardlow tonight. But I had to suspend my imagination. I don't, I know we do that with wrestling. MJF was standing in front of Wardlow. Wardlow's laughing. He had his chance there, a very long time, to just get his hands on MJF. And he passed on it because he was enjoying it so much. Maybe he's playing with his food or something like that. But they got to do something here quick. Introducing the Butcher. I know a lot of people are like the Butcher and want him to get a singles run. We'll see what happens with that match. But yeah, MJF and Wardlow, we need to see some physical confrontation soon. Like, I don't know how you do that, where you get the pop that you're chasing. You've been chasing it for weeks. You're stretching this out. You want it to be a huge pop when Wardlow does get his hands there. He had a chance tonight. When are you going to do it, and how are you going to do it?
I actually disagree with you. I think they should really save Wardlow getting his hands on MJF until the pay-per-view. If that's the pay-per-view matchup, that's where Wardlow should get his hands on MJF.
But let me add something real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt you. If you want it that way, then like have it be like contracted instead of Wardlow passing up on the opportunity to do that. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you cannot touch me. You are banned until the pay-per-view. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, basically, he is, because he's contracted. That, like, putting his hands on MJF is not going to help him in getting released from his contract. What he's doing is getting under his skin enough and costing him matches, costing the Pinnacle matches, and that has got him into a matchup next week. And they've also done a good point to save Wardlow getting his hands on Shawn Spears, because remember, tonight we got him into the powerbomb position, and then all the security came out. So they're saving the Wardlow and Shawn Spears interaction as well, because Shawn Spears spent all those months being his accountability buddy. I think that's going to be the big on TV matchup to build up to the pay-per-view matchup. And that's where you're going to see, fans popped when he got him into the powerbomb position with Shawn Spears. So they're going to pop when he finally is able to give him the powerbomb symphony. So I think they're doing a good job of pacing this, and the fact that they have shown that we're getting something new next week. because that was one of the issues Jimmy had on AE Ramble. Was it felt like too much of the same every single week, with Wardlow beating up the security and then getting stopped before he even gets across the guardrail. This week he got across the guardrail. He even was about to powerbomb Shawn Spears, and then all the security came in. So they switched up the formula just a bit to make it interesting. So I do agree with you guys. This is the best feud in AEW. I don't think it's the best storyline. I think Josh actually has the t-shirt of the best storyline in AEW right now, which is the Blackpool Combat Club. But this is second as far as storylines, but it is first as far as one-on-one
I would
feuds.
say
This is the best thing.
Yeah, it's the best thing. Like I said, I think it's the best thing just because like you could see this match already being in Double or Nothing. Right now, pretty much everything is up in the air because you got to see what happens with Hangman, what happens after that match. You got to see, which I think is going to be Hangman versus Punk anyway, but it's still building up to that. There's no interaction yet to that. At least with these guys, there's been interactions. So to me, that's why it's the best feud, because it's leading to Double or Nothing.
SBJ, you made good points there. I can't really refute some of those points, but I'm just saying, for me personally, I'm starting to get like blue balls. Can I say that here? Can I say blue balls?
Yes, you can. You can. We're trying to get the Bluetooth sponsorship so we can solve other people's blue balls. But I can understand for people who want to see.
Don't you have an ad? Don't you have an advertisement that you could do a smooth transition with that right now?
No, we don't have the Bluetooth advertising. Bluetooth, if you're watching, we want to help people with their blue balls. So help us out. Become a sponsor of the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. But yes, I can understand. I can understand the people that want to see Wardlow get his hands on MJF, but I understand the pacing of what they're trying to do here. The
pacing, but then also it has to be a scenario where Wardlow finally gets out of his contract with MJF, and then he's like officially all elite. I think that's how you do it. I think it has to get to that point at least.
Yeah, because he's never got that the social media post of Wardlow is all elite because he's been under contract with MJF. Like they've done the little things very smart with that, and the Wheeler Yuta who was on the show for months, and then he didn't get the all elite post until he won the pure title at ROH Supercard of Honor. So with those certain guys, they're doing that very smartly. But
has Garcia got one? Off topic.
Yes, I believe so. Yeah, Garcia and Lee Moriarty. I remember around the same time they got their all elite.
Yeah,
post.
Moriarty. Yeah, Moriarty got signed at one of the tapings, and then they pretty much made it official like a couple of weeks after that.
Yeah, so I think that the Wardlow babyface turn has gone very well so far. Like Josh said, I think that crowd in New Orleans was very much behind him, but he wasn't the biggest babyface of the night. Romeo brought it up earlier. You had the big tag team matchup with Team Taz's Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks defeating Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, and this was a great matchup. Kind of exceeded any and all expectations. Swerve Strickland with that crazy moonsault off of Keith Lee's chest, which I just popped for. I was like, that's ridiculous. And then just Ricky Starks just seems like a totally different performer when he has the crowd behind him. We first saw this in Texas last year, I believe at Fyter Fest, when he versed Brian Cage for the FTW Championship, where he won the title. You see it here in New Orleans in his traditional hometown. I think Swerve Strickland said on social media, this guy's got like 7 hometowns, but this in New Orleans, this crowd was just way behind him. He got emotional to that big reaction, that big pop, Ricky Starks chants all throughout this matchup. So my question for you guys, based on the matchup with Brian Cage last year and then this one right here, should AEW consider turning Ricky Starks babyface? Because like I said, he seems like a totally different performer when the crowd is behind him. Let's start with you, Romeo.
Let me search real quickly. Ricky Starks is 28 years old. So there's plenty of time to turn on babyface down the line. Ricky Starks is still good as a heel. Ricky Starks is like me. I have multiple hometowns too. New Orleans is also a second hometown of mine. I used to go there on the weekends all the time when I lived in Northwest Florida. So I understand being loved in multiple cities and multiple towns. Ricky Starks is going to be a great baby face. I would hold off on it right now. You got something with Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee and in this feud. Do that down the line.
That is fair. What about you, Josh?
Yeah, I would say sometime down the line. I think where he's at, I think he's fine. I like him with Team Taz. You know, I know a lot of people didn't at first, but I think, you know, I just like I like the team. I like him with Hobbs and Taz. But yeah, I would say sometime down the line, he has enough time. But then also you got to make it a scenario where he's out of Team Taz, and then that's how you make him babyface. Because like you said, I think he's the total package. He's a great performer. He's a great talker. So you have the formula right there. It's just a matter of making a good babyface out of him. So I think, I would say sometime down the line.
I don't know. I think that you gotta strike while the iron is hot. And with Ricky Starks, he's got that promo ability that I think would work as a babyface. Like, none of his promos necessarily are like heat-seeking promos. He's not like a
No, they're not.
MJF type of
Yeah.
promo. He just gets fired up. He directs his target where he needs to be directed, regardless of who he's feuding with. And you can kind of turn that fire on a heel, and you can, tell the story with like Taz. Like, he didn't agree with Taz interfering in the matchup. He wanted to win on his own in his hometown or
It could
something
be.
like that. So
It could be, yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree with that. You know, it just has to be a scenario where he's, leaving the team. Like, that's just all it comes down to.
I'll make you a trade.
Yeah.
I'll make you a trade. You want to turn Ricky Starks babyface? Okay. Give me Sammy Guevara heel. Is that a fair trade?
yes, because Sammy Guevara needs to be a heel because he gets heel heat everywhere they go now, especially since he's been paired up with Ty Conti. So yes, turn Sammy heel and turn Ricky babyface. I think that would be the perfect crossover.
Yeah, I actually agree with that, because I don't know, this thing with Sam putting them together is like, oh, it's bad enough you see it off of social media, and then now you're seeing it on TV. There's a reason why a lot of people are against it, and it's it's on a personal level of how things went with Sammy's personal life. That he proposed to his ex on TV, and then for this to happen, and now you're pairing them up. It's not a good thing. It's a bad thing because a lot of people are just against them being together, and it's it's just one of those things that people just don't want to see because of that.
It's insane to me that they haven't made this decision yet, but sometimes they take a little long to make the change that they need to make. I wouldn't even mind. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that, and on top of that, they have the men of the year who are supposed to be heels going up against people who are supposed to be faces, and the people are against them, because the same thing happened with Brandy. Like, what?
Oh, I mean, I've talked about it on multiple different places. It's the Dan Lambert curse. Like, literally, look at the people Dan Lambert has feuded with. He feuded with Chris Jericho. That man had to turn heel shortly thereafter. And then he fused with Cody and Brandy. They had to leave the damn company. And now you're feuding with Sammy and Ty, and they look like they have to turn heel now. It's the Dan Lambert curse ever since he's been inserted.
If Danhausen wants to get his cursing abilities back, all he's got to do is hang out with Dan Lambert, get a few pointers, tips.
And that was my whole point with Team Taz. You can turn this whole Team Taz babyface very easily. Like, the only one that really is necessarily on the heel side is Powerhouse Hobbs, who multiple people, if you check online, they all really want to cheer Powerhouse Hobbs anyway. So you could turn him.
That's the thing too. And that's the thing too, because when Powerhouse Hobbs was a face, people were behind him. So
yeah,
it's an easy. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, like that would be an easy turn, because Taz is likable. Taz is not bad for his stable. So that's a plus right there. So yeah, I actually agree with that. Like, He could easily turn him face.
And we know how you feel about Hook.
Exactly.
Feel about Hook?
We know how everybody
and
feels
Hook is
about
over. And
Yeah,
Hook is over
over.
too.
You just got to
So
get them
it's
away
like-
from Lee and Swerve, because they want to keep those guys babyface. So you got to get them away from this.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that matchup is kind of the blow off because they've already done Ricky Starks versus Swerve. They did Powerhouse Hobbs versus Keith Lee, and now they did the tag match. I feel like that's kind of
But it
the
wasn't a
blow
clean
off.
finish.
Yeah, but
Taz out there.
Yeah, that's true. And AEW likes to end with the babyface standing tall. So I could see them doing like one more matchup, maybe another tag team matchup, like no disqualification or something like that. But yeah, once this feud is over, I can see them really, it's very easy for them to turn the entire Team Taz babyface. But speaking of Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti, that brings us to this weekend, Friday and Saturday. You got AEW Rampage. They got AEW World Championship on the line in a Texas death match. Is going to be Hangman Adam Page versus Adam Cole. Special start time for AEW Rampage on Friday. We should note 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific. Anyone who has to review the show afterwards, you're very happy that you can start reviewing at 10 p.m. without worrying about missing Rampage. And then on Saturday, we got at 8 p.m. Eastern time, Battle of the Belts 2, which is going to see Thunder Rosa defending the AEW Women's World Championship against Nyla Rose. You got Sammy Guevara getting his opportunity at the TNT Championship against Scorpio Sky. And you also got Jonathan Gresham defending the ROH World Championship against Dalton Castle. So that brings us to our fourth count here. I'll start with you, Josh. What titles, if any, will change hands on Friday and Saturday? If there is going to be any of these title changing hands, which one do you think is the most likely?
That's a tough one because I really do not know what title is going to change. Honestly, I really don't see any titles changing. I don't know, because it's like, what's the point of Battle of the Belts? Like, your main title is not even on the show. This is the second show they've done, and it's not even on the show. So it's like, what's the point? I don't know. It's right now. It's tough to call. I have no clue because I don't see Thunder Rosa losing. I really do not see her losing. So it's like, I don't know.
I'm gonna be the one that goes out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say the AEW World Championship is the one that I can see, if any of these, because of what we said earlier. CM Punk seems to be revving up to be the challenger for the AEW World Championship, and Adam Cole has taken a lot of losses. He lost to Hangman Adam Page at AEW Revolution. Before that, he lost to Orange Cassidy in the Lights Out match at Beach Break. He lost in the Full Gear Trios Falls Count Anywhere matchup against Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. You got CM Punk, who's an established babyface. He got one of the biggest pops here last night. Any week that AEW, whatever town they go into, the reason why CM Punk always kicks off the show, because he's going to get one of the loudest reactions. So if you want to keep CM Punk on this babyface run, the best option for him to go against is a heel champion. So Adam Cole pulling out the victory with some help, of course, from ReDRagon or even the Young Bucks coming in and helping him out against Hangman Adam Page. If any of the titles are going to change hand, I think it would be Adam Cole defeating Hangman Adam Page in the Texas Death Match. Hangman doesn't have to lose. He doesn't have to get pinned or submitted. He just has to be laid out, and you can have multiple people help Adam Cole to get that job done. And it sets up Adam Cole versus CM Punk at Double or Nothing, which is a huge two big names going at it for the AEW World Championship. I agree with you, Josh. I don't think any of the titles are going to change hands, but if I had to pick one, it would be the AEW World title. Romeo, what about you?
Man, you bring up good points. It's just the only thing, like, if Hangman does lose, then what? Do you know? Like, okay, if you're gonna do that, here's what I'd want to see: and AEW doesn't do this often. Triple threat match at Double or Nothing. Three-way dance.
They had a three-way dance last year at Double or Nothing with Pac, Orange Cassidy, and Kenny Omega. I wouldn't mind that either. Hangman Adam Page, Adam Cole, and CM Punk.
If you're gonna do that, because I don't want Hangman Page to just be thrown to the side. Like, I want him to still be in that story, and I do admit, yes, Adam Cole would make things much more interesting because Punk versus Page is babyface. You need that foil. Cole is the great foil, and Cole and CM Punk would be fun, but Hangman Page needs to be a part of that. So yeah, I would agree with you that that's the most likely. Even though they try to make you think, Nyla Rose, she didn't have the upper hand tonight. Maybe she gets the upper hand on Saturday, but no, Thunder Rosa should win that. Hopefully Nyla Rose shows up, doesn't quit the company from getting a pie or cake in her face.
No, but you heard what Nyla said. I don't know if you did or not because you joined the watch along. But Nyla Rose said she did stand tall because she beat up Thunder Rosa at the end there, and she said, "I like cake and violence." So it's not a Tony Storm treatment there. But if I'm Tony Storm, I had to be watching that segment cringing and like I thought I left all of this back there. But yes, it's very interesting. You have 4 titles on the line, but it doesn't seem likely that any of the titles will change hands, which brings us to our 5th count, which Josh kind of alluded to, and it's about Battle of the Belts on Saturday. This will be the 2nd edition of Battle of the Belts. The first one was in January. That saw Sammy Guevara defeat Dustin Rhodes to become the interim TNT champion. You also had Ricky Starks defending the FTW championship against Matt Sydal, and Dr. Britt Baker DMD defeating Riho to retain the AEW Women's World Championship. And this Saturday, you got these 3 championships on the line: the ROH World Championship, the AEW Women's World Title, and the TNT Championship. But my question for you guys, and I'll start with Josh, what does AEW need to do to better promote and hype these Battle of the Belt specials? Because once again, this show just feels like it's a show. It feels like more of a burden and an extra show to promote for AEW than it feels like a bona fide special. You could probably say that people were more hyped for St. Patrick's Day Slam, a special of Dynamite, than they were for this Saturday special of Battle of the Belts. So what do they need to do to kind of better hype this up, Josh?
I think one, they need to put the AEW title. They need to put an AEW title match. First of all, I think that's my personal perspective. That's my personal preference to that. But also, if you're gonna put a match, I think you need to do something to spice it up. They could even go out on a limb and maybe get like a top star from New Japan or something to put. That'll get people interested.
Sorry,
but
pal.
Besides that,
ROH.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? No. I don't mean like one of their titles. I mean like them going against somebody, going up against like the AEW World Champion for the AEW World Championship. Make it interesting. Make it something that people are actually going to tune in to watch.
Josh wants Okada.
Hey, that'll be great. Like, hey, any of their top tier wrestlers, I'll be fine with. That'll be perfect because then, the win or loss wouldn't even fucking matter at that point. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, at that point, just like these shows just feels like it feels like so far the 2 out of 2, it feels unnecessary for me.
Yeah, and I think one of the bigger issues that AEW can't really, they kind of had their hands tied, so that can't be one of the things that they can do to better promote or hype it, is it being 1 hour. I think if it was 2 hours, I think maybe they would stack up the show and put bigger matches on it, but that's kind of out of their hands. This is the hour that TNT is giving them. But what does AEW need to do to kind of better promote this and make this feel like a real, like a pay-per-view on TV, like the Clash of the Champions and Battle of the Belts were for WCW, Romeo?
Number one, this should be live. It shouldn't be taped. Make it live and have it include a world title match, a tag title match, and a women's title match. I think everybody would be hyped for all three of those. If you did the tag title match that was tonight, if you put that on Saturday, if you did the Texas Death Match that's on Rampage, if you did that Saturday, and if you just you did the women's match, Rosa and Rose, I think people would be hyped for that show, and be you could fit all that in an hour if everybody gets like 20 minutes or less, and I think that would be, and it has to be live. It's got to be live, pal. What are we doing? It's 2022. The Rampage be taped. Why is Rampage the bigger show? Rampage is the show I'm looking forward to. It's got the Texas Death Match. That's the match I want to see out of everything.
You got the Texas Death Match. You got the Blackpool Combat Club. Ruby Soho's gonna be back on one of the major shows, one of Dynamite.
That's a name I haven't heard in years.
Haven't heard that name since January. It's been months. So yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right.
Like,
Rampage feels like the bigger show this week.
Yeah, but then also it feels like the bigger show just because of Tony Khan's comments. He made a preference of pushing Rampage again. So, and that aspect, I get it. It's just again like Battle of the Belts is just it feels like a nothing show, and it's kind of surprising because AEW usually doesn't do nothing shows, so it just feels weird to me.
And Scorpio and Sammy will kill it in ring, but is anybody gonna really like be invested? Being that Sammy has do I want to say go away heat? Probably. It's not go away heat. It's just go be something else heat.
It's getting there. Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. It's becoming go away heat slowly. It's just it's a slow burn, but it's getting there.
The Cody heat. Cody heat. That's what he has. Cody heat.
He's getting. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, but it's just more so because of his pairing with Tay. But and I like Scorpio Sky, like you said. I think this is gonna be a great match. But it's like, I mean, they're building Scorpio Sky to be undefeated for over a year. You think he's losing Saturday after he just got the belt? No, that's not happening.
Scorpio ain't losing until he gets to the Forum in Los Angeles in June with the TNT Championship. I'm waiting for him to come out with the purple and gold version of the TNT Championship, so he can
definitely lose it if he does that. That's the Lakers did all year.
Well, at least it ain't orange and blue because he'll be losing even more. But yes, I'm waiting for him. I'm waiting for him to show up in the Forum before he loses the TNT Championship. So I think that Scorpio is going to hold on. But I do agree with Josh. Like it's getting to that go away point with Sammy Guevara, because it's like, go away if you're going to be a babyface. Go away if this is the character you're presenting. We don't want to see it. We want to see you be a heel, because you're not likable at this point. I think that's the big thing when it comes to Sammy, and that's why the match overall doesn't feel like anything. Like the only match that has a little bit of juice behind it is Nyla Rose and Thunder Rosa, and that's because of the performers. It's not because of the feud at all, because they haven't given it enough hype. They haven't given it enough attention at all. It's been a letdown for Thunder Rosa's first feud as champion.
Yeah.
Sad but true. So yeah, I think that the biggest thing they can do, I do agree with you guys, is putting the world title on the Battle of the Belts, because this is now two specials with this title that doesn't have the world championship on the line. And especially with the world title match happening a day before, it's just like, yeah, it comes off like Dynamite and Rampage are important to AEW, but Battle of the Belts is like, it's just an extra hour that TNT has given us. So we're gonna throw three titles on there, three titles that are not as important as the world title.
What do you think about the Gresham Castle?
I think Gresham Castle is going to be a good matchup and a good showcase for Jonathan Gresham, since this is his debut. This is going to be his AEW debut. I like the fact that they, gave Dalton Castle a victory on the pre-show to Supercard of Honor to kind of, give him a win before he got this title opportunity. But I think this is going to be more of a showcase for Jonathan Gresham than anything else. But even for Gresham, this is not the biggest ROH World Title defense that he's going to have in the week, because the week following, the next Saturday, he goes against Eddie Edwards at Impact Wrestling Rebellion, which I want to see that match more than this Dalton Castle match.
Fair point.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
So yeah, I think the biggest thing is the world title being up for grabs, and just make that the big push, make that the thing that you're pushing towards. We see it all the time with how they promote their pay-per-views, how they promote special episodes of Dynamite, even how they promoted this week's Rampage. When they want to make something feel special, they can do it. We just need them to do that with Battle of the Belts, or just stop doing the special altogether. If you're that upset that it's only 1 hour and you don't want to care about it too much, then stop doing these specials altogether. Honestly, that's how I feel at this point. Because now
That's how I feel.
Like Josh said, this is 2 for 2, where it just doesn't feel special enough.
Or just do like an hour special of something like, some like gimmick matches. I don't know, like something different. Like, if that's what they're gonna do, or just give the extra hour to Rampage like once in a while. Like, 2 hour special, 2 hour special for Rampage tonight, like on a random Friday. I'll be fine with that. I'll be fine with that too.
Yeah, I didn't mind it when they did that for Grand Slam. I wouldn't mind it if they did that instead of Battle of the Belts, instead of making it a whole separate night for something that you obviously don't care about too much, because you didn't even spend time hyping it on this show. You ran down the card for Rampage, Battle of the Belts in the middle, squashed in the middle, as you also promoted matches for next week's Dynamite. It's like you didn't even give it enough hype to even in your running down the matches.
Hey, they do that every single week, and I hate it. Split up the announcements. You have 2 hours. You tell me 35 matches that are happening, and I'm trying to remember which every one you're telling me, and it's too much. It's too much. Split it up.
Dude, you're talking to the guy that has to write down what's confirmed for each show, and I have trouble. I have to literally start my tweet, then save the draft, and then go look on other people's Twitter pages to find out what match I missed out on.
Yeah, it's really simple to fix. Just split up your announcements, show it on the bottom of the screen while the match is going on, whatever.
Yeah, I think that this episode, more than anything, the biggest nitpick, besides, the lack of attention to the women's division and that ending, is that they kind of tried to fit too much into this episode, including all those match announcements. So
a common problem.
Yes. A common problem with AEW, but you can't knock them for a lack of effort. They always put in the effort, so that is the good thing. And you got an A+ effort on this edition of the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. And we want to say happy birthday to the face and the ace of the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast, Rick Ucchino, the hardest working man in Cincinnati, on radio, on podcast form. When he talks about wrestling, he's had a great and tremendous year, so we hope that he had a beautiful happy birthday. And
25 years old, one of the best young media personalities in wrestling.
He's 25?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Why are you lying? He's like 25 plus 9. You could say that. We'll say that for now. But yes, he's doing some great work, and we are happy to fill in for him. And I want to thank Romeo and Josh for joining me once again for the Tru Heel Takeover of the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. Josh, please let the people know where they can find you on social media, all the great things you're doing on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel and beyond.
You can find me at jampunk321, Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Radio Raw Superstars every Monday night. Watch alongs for Monday Night Raw with Romeo, sometimes the other guy. Wednesday nights Wednesday night AEW Dynamite watch alongs as well. And you can find me at the Daily Slam YouTube channel with doing SmackDown reviews with Miss Chrissy Love and Romeo.
And Romeo, you have a lot on your plate from Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, Daily Slam, Fightful, Overbook. Let the people know where they can find you on social media and everything you got going on.
Hey, follow me, Tru Heel Romeo, on Twitter and Instagram. Over on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, I'll just mention the shows Josh didn't mention. One includes Tuesdays, NX3. We do live NXT watch-alongs. We just put up our best of the year. We've been doing it a year. A lot of funny reactions, a lot of funny clips. Check it out on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. Fightful Overbooked YouTube channel, True Rewind with SP3 and Drunk Guy JJ, where we go back in time and review the Monday Night War. And as far as this week goes, as far as watch-alongs, Saturday, I guess we're gonna, strap our seatbelts and watch Battle of the Belts all together when it happens. Even if you're not really looking forward to this card, hey, look forward to watching it with us. We'll have fun no matter what.
There you go. People got something to look forward to. I was gonna ask Jimmy if he wanted to review Rampage and Battle of the Belts on Sunday, but looking at this Battle of the Belts card, I know that's not gonna happen. But you can see me over on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel later today, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time, where myself and Jimmy Macaram will go more in depth on this episode of AEW Dynamite, segment by segment. We give our thoughts, and we of course give a warning because Jimmy's thoughts and opinions are his and his only, and not of Tru Heel Heat or his contributors. But you can also find me on the Twitter machine at Tru Heel SP3. You can see me on the Wrestle Talk Podcast YouTube channel with Sad E Nyangi reviewing NXT 2.0 with our Mocha 2.0 review. Go over there and show your support there, as well as on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel following SmackDown and Rampage. Myself, Rick Ucchino, and Dutch Mantel, we will review AEW, Rampage, and SmackDown this week. And then on Saturday, live on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, Tru Heel Heat 171, where myself and I gotta find some guest or somebody to do it with me because Chrissy Love is gonna be on vacation as it's her birthday as well. All you damn Aries have your birthdays at the same time, it seems. So I gotta find somebody to do with me.
All right, you Tauruses are coming up.
Yes, that's true. To wrap up the week and cover all the professional wrestling from this week, from WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, and much, much more. But we want to thank you all for joining us for the Tru Heel Heat takeover of the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. Go over and subscribe to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button here for the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast. Check out yesterday's episode with Jeremy and Rick reviewing NXT 2.0. Myself and Rick, we covered Raw this week, as well as all the news from the weekend. We'll be back on Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time to review all the news and notes from over the weekend with AEW Battle of the Belts, Rampage, SmackDown, and all the news and notes. So stay strapped here, like this video, share it with your friends, and thank you so much for Josh, for Romeo. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been the Bleav in Pro Wrestling podcast, brought to you by Bet On.